Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm going to talk about some books which I want to see adapted in Netflix. I'm saying specifically Netflix because all the Netflix adaptations that I've seen from book have been always good, and I think they deliver the quality that we readers deserve when it comes to seeing them on screen without compromising anything at all. During each and every time when I read all of these books, I wanted to see them as adaptations on screen. So that's the main reason I'm making this video, and by some chance if we get adaptations for any of these books, it will be really nice, and I'll be one of the happiest people to watch those adaptations. So without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. The first book is a YA mystery and I read this last year. Ever since I finished reading this series, I've been having this thought in my mind that I want to see this adapted on Netflix at some point in my life, because this is perfect for a limited series that can be adapted by Netflix in my personal opinion. It is the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. I'm saying this in specific because the setup of the series is very difficult to make and it definitely deserves a high budget. I'm saying Netflix can adapt this because I've seen many Netflix shows which have the same kind of backdrop, and the way in which they provide that atmosphere in those particular shows and movies is always perfect in its meter range, and I think that will work awesome for this one because the main part of this series which intrigued me the most is the setup, because we see the story actually happening in a secluded school on top of a hill, and it is always chilly and misty there. That itself provides a great setup for the mystery to take place, and the vibe and feeling it gives while we are reading the book itself is awesome. So if we just see that reflected on a screen in a proper way, I think it will make a wonderful show rather than just a single movie. So if this is translated into a limited series on Netflix, I think it will be awesome, and it will also draw a lot more attention for the books, because I'm sure many people after watching the adaptations will be interested in reading the books. So I think that will work out for this one great. The next one is a very recent read of mine, and the moment I finished reading this book, I went to my brother and told him for 5 or 10 minutes the reasons why this needs to be on Netflix, and it is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I know that the other series by this author, which is Heartstopper, is being adapted on Netflix, and I'm highly awaiting to watch that one because I enjoyed that series very much when I read the graphic novels. But I'm saying this one in specific because it's just a standalone book and it is far easier to adapt compared to anything else by the author that I've read so far. Here we don't even have that many main characters. We have like a handful of characters if you ask me, and each and every one of them is very much necessary for the story. The way in which the author has narrated it and given that tone for it is really nice. I want this to be adapted in specific because I watched Sex Education on Netflix and the atmosphere of that series is really nice. The backdrop of England itself is something which is very captivating in some way or the other for that series if you ask me, and that is the same kind of backdrop that is set here also, because this story also happens somewhere in England. The voices of the characters and especially Radio Silence, that specific portion of the story, is something which I think will be translated as a Netflix limited series again. I don't want to watch a movie of this one, I just want a limited series, because only during that time we'll get enough time to explore each and everything from the book without missing at all. At the same time, we'll not have to rush through some of the important parts of the story. So yeah, more than any of the other books in this list, I just want this to be adapted so bad. The next book is something which is in between genres, and it is in between historical fiction and literary fiction, and the moment I say the name of this book, I'm sure everyone who has read this book will completely agree with me that this needs an adaptation, especially as a movie and not a TV show or a limited series. It is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Jenkins Reid. Trust me, if you've not read this book, please do go forward and try it first, and whoever that has read this book, I'm sure you will agree with me. Just let me know down in the comments whether you want to watch a movie of this book or not. I'm saying a movie in specific because this is the fictional tale of a fictional heroine, and the way in which the author has narrated her story is just so beautiful. Okay, I'm sure Evelyn Hugo is one of the best characters that I've read so far. She's not a good person, okay, she's extremely flawed, and her life story is something which is super poignant in each and every way if you ask me. This can even be released as a movie on a theater. I'm sure every kind of audience will love this kind of film because it has something for everyone and something everyone needs. I'm saying Netflix again in specific because they do a really good job of translating books into movies or TV shows. Though this book is a standalone and has a lot of things that are going on inside it, I want a movie for this one because it will provide that grandeur that the book deserves. Just imagine the biopic of Evelyn Hugo, who's actually a fictional character, being made into a movie. How great would that be, and how will it make us readers who have read the book before feel? I'm sure people will want to read this book after watching an adaptation of this one if it ever happens, but I'm sure, okay, I'm more than sure everyone who has read this book will agree with me when I say that we need an adaptation for this one. So if you've read the book, please do let me know down in the comments whether you want an adaptation for this one or not. The next one is a sci-fi book, and I'm sure if this is going to be adapted, it'll be a very high budget adaptation, and it'll also look like one of these Steven Spielberg films. It is Illuminae by Amie, Kaufmann and Kristoff. Here we follow our two main characters, Katie and Estra, who are living in this planet named Kerenza, and one day what happens is there is this company named Baytech who comes and attacks them. When they are attacked, all the people escape onto two different spaceships, Alexander and Hypatia, and they are to escape from that planet in order to make a living elsewhere. The entire format of this book itself is really awesome, okay? I've actually read this once before in 2018, but I reread this January because I want to continue on with the series and finish it. Trust me, this reread experience has just made it far better for me in my mind, and I'm sure that everyone who reads this book will be able to visualize it easily in their mind because each and everything is that properly delivered by the author, by their joint effort, and also the multimedia format of the book is something which just adds on multiple layers for this book. I'm sure this will be a very high budget adaptation because there are hundreds of things happening inside here, and the entire story just happens in outer space. It's not anywhere that is like Earth at all. But if it is adapted on screen, I'm sure that it will look very magnificent, grand, and nail-bitingly interesting. The next one is an adult grimdark fantasy trilogy, and if you've been following me from last year, I'm sure you're going to know the name of the series already. It is the Nevernight Chronicle by Kristoff. I am saying this in specific because the characters in this one are awesome, okay? Each and every character in this one is very morally grey, and in order to show them as such on the screen, it will be very difficult for the actors as well as the creators of the show itself. The world in which this series happens is also very different and difficult to construct because most of the time it is always very sunny and so bright, and the construction of the world will be very difficult because it is very well detailed by the author. The world also has a lot of history from the footnotes that the author has provided here, and we always need that background voice which has to narrate us these footnotes or the history via the footnotes. The animal companions in this one are also kind of difficult to reproduce on screen as far as I can imagine because all of them are just shadows, and giving shape to the shadows and making them speak and interact with human beings is going to be very difficult if in some way it is adapted on Netflix. I know that there's an adaptation for the Nevernight series in Theatre Foods channel. I have not watched it yet, but I want this to be seen on Netflix because the world is very complex, okay? It is very intricate and so well built by the author. It is also super dark and explicit. I think they can handle it well. That's the main reason why I want to watch this as a series on Netflix. The next one is one of my all-time favorite books, and it is also a book which is very close to my heart. It is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. There are three other John Green books which are adapted into movies before this one, if I'm not wrong. The Fault in Our Stars obviously is one. The next one is Paper Towns, and I think there's an adaptation for Looking for Alaska also. I've only watched The Fault in Our Stars just like everyone else. I've not watched any of the other two films. I want this to be adapted into a mini series because the mental illness that the author has taken as a focus in this one and the way in which he has described it and articulated it to readers is very, very pure in its form, okay? I think many people need to read this and understand how difficult and how serious OCD can become. I'm a person who does have OCD, but it is not as severe as it is shown in this book. I do have some obsessive compulsive thoughts each and every day, and it is very difficult to get myself out of it and tell myself that it is okay to not have everything in the perfect way that we want. The way in which he has written it and shown it to us through the main character Asa in this one is really, really beautiful, okay? It's not a book which is very easy to read in terms of the content. There are some scenes during which the OCD just goes to peaks, and the way in which he describes them through thought spirals is very, very interesting. If you want to know the experience of a person who has OCD, please do try this one. I'm sure that you'll be able to empathize with us people very, very easily after reading this. It is not easy to adapt because most of these things just happen inside the head itself, and also the series will be a bit depressing, like 13 Reasons Why. It will not be that depressing, but it will be a little bit depressing. Since this book is very close to my heart, I want to watch an adaptation for this one. The last book in this list is actually a book which I did not think that much of needing an adaptation after I finished reading it, but after I posted that I finished reading this book, many people told me that they want to watch an adaptation for this one, and it made me think whether I wanted to watch an adaptation for this one or not. The book that I'm talking about is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and the main concept of this book itself is just the existence of the multiverse and different realities in infinite numbers from the reality that we are living in, and trying to experience each and every different kind of reality that is possible for us to experience. Again, this is a very delicate book to handle, and the way in which the author has written it is very, very beautiful. It is a book which talks about depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts very, very beautifully, and gives a ton of hope to people who are suffering from it and not being able to deal with it. This will be very difficult to adapt because the first 50 pages or so of the book itself is very depressing, and when it is adapted on screen, I'm sure it will look a lot darker and difficult to watch. But after that, the various things that happen inside the book when they are shown as visuals will be really amazing to see, if you ask me. So yeah, after giving some thought because of all the comments and DMs that I received, I think having an adaptation for this one will also be really good. So yes guys, those are the 7 books which I very badly want to watch Netflix adaptations of. If they happen sometime in the future, I'll be very, very happy to watch them, and I'll be one of the first people to watch them also. If you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.